Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another RGL cast. My name is Jarrett here with Space Ghost to bring you guys Froyotech versus RGLgg. This is RGL Invite 6's Season 7, Week 2B here on Metalworks. Early off in the season, starting off strong with a pretty strong matchup, trying to set yourself in a comfy spot for the long playoff race you have ahead of you. You got two pretty talented teams versus each other, Space Ghost, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen, and also curious about what you think about this upcoming match tonight.
Yeah, we do have a exciting match here in Metalworks. We have a Froyotech. I believe this is the first time we've casted them this season. Froyotech versus RGLgg. You know, both teams really ready here on Metalworks. Why not come out of the gate on the season pretty strong and on top? And I believe Froyotech sitting 2-0, and RGLgg, they did lose to the Witness Gaming, the former Invite winners beforehand. But you know, it's not a big deal. And what do you think about this upcoming match?
Well, I think comparing some of the classes, and especially because this Metalworks Evolve thing is going to be pretty important, but it's probably also important for the people that maybe, sat back for a little bit or wasn't really in the know about what happened in the off season. They can get an idea of, if they're coming in late, what kind of rosters we have coming up for the match tonight. Except we can't really do that very, very quickly because it seems like we're already going live.
Right,
so you're gonna have to go ahead.
You're
gonna have to look at the HUD to see who is playing on each team. Last minute Preds. I'm probably gonna go maybe like a 5-2 for Froyotech. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna go for the meme and say 5 for Froyotech.
Alright, well, got Metalworks and Mids coming up. Got both demos trying to spam it. Each other's lowered, getting a little bit of damage, but nothing to write home about. Immediate bomb coming from Mayorman is actually going to commit just a little bit onto the shack. You have one person going behind. Jay is going to die. One soldier trade on each side, but May is going to fall on the side of Froyotech. So Howard, as long as he backs up and tries to escape, he could live here with an uber charge intact. The rest of the blue team trying to corral themselves around him, and so far it's just Mayorman and Banny left alive. Mayorman, the sole survivor. One last rocket to maybe clear up a scout or anything like that, getting some spam damage, elongating his death. Will eventually get cleaned up by the side of bot mode, and seems like that medic pick that G6 got into Froyo really solidified their first capture for this this match.
Yeah, Froyotech really went out the gate there very, very aggressive. They had both their soldiers bomb, and I believe it wasn't it's Jay. Jay got Howard down to 6 health at the very beginning of the mid, but the pack was there and it didn't matter. And RGLgg are also able to clean up off of just that one kind of big pick on the soldier. And it looks like, speaking of picks, we do have a bomb trading for Jay, so Scout and Soldier down for one side respectively. And I don't think it's going to matter that much. RGLgg do have full Uber out here, but Froyotech was getting very aggressive here. Yeah, I don't know if that was a force they just used, but that was the aggression from Froyotech might end up paying off in the end.
Yeah, I think they might have saw an opportunity, but the trigger was just pulled slightly too late, and then it's just not going to really lead to anything. They do get a Mirror Man kill. I think he thought he was a little bit more safer than it actually was. So I guess they technically got a kill, but realistically, you want to try to use your Uber for more than just a singular kill. So May at 90%, they're in a position to try to push out in the left side of lobby, peeking the shutters, trying to figure out what looks free and if it's even worth it to just pop right out of the gate with Howard playing so passive. Kind of tone the line a little bit through the shutters. So blind bomb coming in. He is going to get cleaned up by the side of Banny and Habib, damage onto them. And Bobo cleaned up as well. Have Sophie go behind. Yeah. They're going to be able to clean up a couple people. Have to go back.
Here. I love it. They have to chase him back. They sent so many people back to chase him. That bought them a lot of time. They might be able to exchange here in second. They have 90% if they really want to, but they don't have quite yet. Howard's dropping so low, and Logan's going to die. Howard has no one to heal, and he's gonna fall.
98.
Oh, that was a tragedy. They knew they're gonna get it soon, but just a little bit of a little bit of spaghetti out there, and they kind of papagoed that, and now it's gonna be Froyotech pushing mid with full Uber.
Blind bomb from Sophie going behind. They are going to have to deal with him at least in some capacity. It is buying some time for Logan and Howard's spawn, especially the sniper of bot mode inside the Ford. So we can clean up, pressure into the Fords at least a little bit. Bombs maybe onto Habib, depending. I know Rakuso going to get shot in the middle there, unable to really find anything. Jay chasing him off as well. And the sniper situation seems to be under control. They've taken mid for free. Bot mode has back spawned. Still on sniper though, might go for a sneaky pick depending on if he's allowed to get very deep into alley. But so far, May still holding on to this Uber intact. Straight through main bridge, trying to catch anyone possibly can. And this sniper is certainly going to get caught out eventually, but the chasing through the shutter, getting onto Rakuso. Bot mode is going to fall in the backline. Rakuso dropped extreme low, but will not fall, and it seems like that's all they're really going to get. Rakuso dropped to 1 HP. Will lose that. Habib overstaying as well, with no bomb from Sophie. Getting a lot of damage, dropping 8 HP. Not quite clean up yet, but will finally fall. The flank coming in from the soldier. Mirror Man behind. Is it going to be providing anything? The collapse goes in the lobby, and they are just, they're pretty much chain seeding. But Slim's
is behind.
He's going to take this
one. It's going to be a 1v1 on last.
Oh no, he's just going looping all the way around.
2v1.
Yeah, he knows that everyone's going past.
Again, another big play on the back half there, because even though they did buy time for their upcoming mid fight, so even though that looked like a feat, I think that definitely can pay off in the future. You know, all those those seconds do count, but I'm even gonna peek and drop a little low here, but they're gonna back up the mid here with 50%, and like a G6 know they want to use this Uber sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's still usable. They're trying to work their way through the little dirt area to get actually into mid. There's some soldiers up on higher. Have to be careful about the high bombs that immediately pulling the triggers right out of the game. Once you see something good, Mirror Man will be the last person left on the field to be able to give up his life for his team. But that's pretty much all they're really going to get. Stuck inside house, and they still wanted to try to push this. They have the Uber themselves ready to go. Immediately busting out of the lower door, trying to catch Howard. The stickies onto Howard is getting a little bit of damage. Maybe catching Logan, depending on the damage. It was able to clean him up, as well as Soapy from the side of Slemness. So 2 kills for the Uber is not bad, and they're looking to keep this train rolling. Barely just blocked the cap. Got to recuperate themselves just a little bit, but with a 2-player advantage in dry scenario, Froyotech are looking to dry push this in a second.
It's going to be on Mercruzo here to make a big play. It looks like here comes the big play. They're backcapping. It's going to be a 2v1, though. I don't know if Mirrorman can stop this that well. It's not much you can do in that situation. They're going to get the backcap, and they're going to go to second. So that's a really heads-up play from like a G6 there. Mirrorman even knew he was on mid, but, you know, the 2v1 that's selling out for it, I don't blame them. And they're going to get Mercruzo. They're going to be scout 1v1 or 1v2. Almost kills Slemnish, but not quite enough.
There was actually so much cap time there. It felt like, you know, maybe they think they knew it could have happened, but it seems like they weren't exactly prepared.
There, but you know, I think they expected 1, maybe not 2 people there, because the 1v1 that's fine. The 2v1 that's a little risky.
It bought them their Uber, though, although they have 2 players rolling out. Froyotech knows that there's a little bit of an opening to try to rush themselves in, and actually Slam has gone very, very deep. Actually getting straight onto Logan. Will eventually fall from these scouts. Bomb coming in from Jay, getting a lot of damage on the bottom of Peanut by the side of Andy, who's very deep himself. Yeah, Rakusa bombing in to make sure that force happens out of the side of May, and Howard nowhere to be seen, so this Uber
this
just
might be
some players.
If this Uber goes the way they want it, this could be brutal. Mirrorman's actually, okay, they did a really good job for it, getting out there. Habib's behind.
Mirrorman got out somehow.
Yeah,
what is this?
This is a disaster for like a G6. They had 3 people, but they couldn't clean up any kills, and now Froyotech, you know, Ubers are roughly even, but Froyotech's in a pretty good position to do stuff here. There comes Bot Mode, gonna die to the Froyotech combo, and they're gonna back up the last. Ubers are, you know, roughly even, so it's not a disaster, but considering the situation they're in, I don't think like a G6 would be happy with that. I think they could have gotten a lot more out of that if they played their cards right.
Yeah, Froyo maybe would want to do a dry or sack right now. Looks like they're poking around a little bit. Yeah, no scout. There's not a spamming class, but it is still an opening nonetheless. Able to find the way on Rakuso.
And Jay lived.
Oh, he did live. So that's another player for them to be able to use. Trying to get on the point and collect so many people all on top of each other. Jay collecting 2 with 1 rocket. Able to collect the first round in this pretty deciding half. I spare the mid for the side of Froyotech.
Yeah, I think like a G6 had a very good start to the game, but they just like kind of misplayed their way into their own last, and then Froyotech just dry pushed and won. You know, it definitely seemed. I felt like, other than that really good time, Froyotech kind of like ran away from the Uber and Mirrorman lived. I feel like that was more G6 kind of misplaying themselves out of that round, in my opinion.
Yep. Sometimes you got to take high risks and get high rewards, but it can definitely go the wrong way with bombs immediately. You know, trying to collect as much as you possibly can. Some damage. Only going to be able to collect bot mode, though, with that live trade.
Really
nice shot from Rakuso. Direct onto Banny.
May's going to be very
stairs ate the rocket, but he will still die. 2 players left alive for the side of G6. They are definitely out of there.
Yep, and it's I guess it's, if there's any 2 players who want to live, it is these 2. And looks like Banny's hiding in a corner. This is the rare and famed Banny hiding in a corner. You only see it every once in a while, so appreciate it while it lasts. Although Metalworks is one of those maps that is known from, oh, he left the corner. Metalworks is one of those maps that is known from shadows, so people can sometimes see through walls. It's very good.
Oh, Habib caught off guard.
Yeah, he was very caught off guard here, and it looks like they're gonna take this into mid. I don't know. I think they want to take this without using all. But there's the J Sniper. I didn't even notice, and that's a very good pick if you're a fan of Froyotech.
96%. I mean, even if you had 100, no way to really anticipate that sniper if no one spots it for your team. So without a med, I mean, they're going to get this cap. But Froyo knows that they could try to push with a heal advantage if things look spicy enough. You know, if they can get buffed up, try to poke themselves around. Banny dropping low is going to be able to find a pack and stay safe, at least for now. Still trying to poke through these doors and get through without too many casualties. Seems like they're getting stuffed at least somewhat. The spam is a little bit too great, and G6 actually not really going to drop too much more than the health. They are rotating backdoor the side of
Froyotech
Froyotech.
do have the luxury of time here.
They do get Rakuso too.
They are going to get Rakuso. They still have J Sniper to deal with, so these sightlines are going to be pretty tough to peek if they want to hold this. So just the spam. Bomb mode's in. He does get May low, but May does milk that, and so Froyotech's going to take the spin. Mirror Man onto Soapy. Soapy barely going to live here, but now there's 2 soldiers in, and Soapy has jumped his way out, fortunately. So, but yeah, they still have to deal with the J Sniper, and the J Sniper, you know, the advantage of this is you're not even losing a scout, you're only losing a soldier, so it's really, you know, it's really such an advantage having a soldier who can actually play sniper.
Yeah, and you have the disad to think about, and the player disadvantage that just continues to grow as Mirman did a nice flank to make sure that Soapy was caught out. So it's going to be difficult for the side of G6. They got a last hold ahead of them if they can get the rest of this Uber, which looks like they are going to be able to get through. Is this hole that Slum's going to try to run through, see if he can get anything but pop into the air, won't be able to find any traction, and it might be able to... just a little bit of damage, not be able to find anything, but it'd be a sack wave, I suppose. I'm not sure how they're going to go with it. Yeah, I guess they just kind of have to go with the sniper. The question is are they going to play it slow, or are they just going to use him as a vehicle to just rush in? Oh, speaking of rushing in, Botmo just straight in, trying to get on a Mirman over by the health back area. Mirman's left out to dry, will die, but bot mode in too deep, dies. Just 1 for 1. Not really going to amount to too much. The sniper is still on the field, so I can only imagine that Froyotech will still continue to kind of work around, work their play around him existing.
I can feel for like a G6 right now. This is so obnoxious to deal with. That just the sniper who won't die because it just, there we go. He gets a pick. It's just, it's so annoying to deal with because you just constantly have to worry about it. You constantly have to spam the doors. It really kind of like just makes you kind of exhausted a little bit, just having to be constantly vigilant about the sniper.
Yeah, but it makes you really have to play aggressive too, and that aggression can bite you depending on how things go. But Mirman making some space, they have to shoot Mirman instead of Sniper, but as soon as they jump for the Sniper, he finds Soap and he tried to get onto Howard. Popped up at least a little bit. Actually, no, Howard didn't take any damage. That was just him jumping, so gonna be A-okay, no damage onto there. And the Sniper still on the field, still, you know, a thorn in your side if you're the side of G6 but Soapy. Try and find an opening to see if you can get some sort of counter attack. He's through, trying to jump in. It is going to be able to get onto Jay at least a little bit with some damage, but cleaned up with a headshot. No Sniper going to the grave right now. Got a lot of weak Froyotech players.
Somebody stop that, man.
With a cleanup of Soapy, they're A-okay to keep holding on to this lobby area.
Yeah, Jay's just, you know, he's playing so passive, but he's just getting picks, and, you know, Froyotech realize I think they have the kind of luxury of time here. They have no reason to really force to do anything right now, and there's another pick. Jay is just ringing him out. Now he's trying to peek.
Oh,
looks like top left.
No one was watching right.
And they're trying to peek. They're trying to get an angle on Jay, and look at this pressure here is insane. And there's the drop. They do the foreman for it, the George Foreman, and they get it in the end, I guess. Although May died too.
May too. He market guarded him. There's too much to watch. Dolphin caught it though. Dolphin caught it.
Yeah, there's too much to watch. I look in chat and I just see both medics double drop. Oh no. The mid.
Oh no. The 1 HP Sword Habib sees the 1 HP Scout in his kill cam.
Yeah, multiple binds being dropped, and the sword on Axe DM very strong. It looks like Mirman's gonna try to take this 1v1 or 2v1 versus bot mode. Gonna get caught out here, and actually Froyotech's doing a good job fighting this point. Looks like a G6 is gonna have to back up. So after all of that, this might have equalized in the end.
Yeah, I think G6 saw the late Doman death and was sitting pretty comfortably, but didn't cover the doors. And now Froyotech is just rushing straight into last, trying to cut him out. Is going to be the cleanup power, getting onto the point, and there's no one able to stop it in time. So seems like G6 just misjudged the situation just a tiny bit. Saw that they had a late demo death to work with, but the timing just wasn't quite there. And their retake of the second point ends up falling flat. Froyotech taking the second round in this match.
Yeah, I think G6. I don't know if they weren't ready for it, but Froyotech was more ready for the dry fight on the second than like G6 were, definitely enough. Going to this mid, I don't know, who are you going to look at in this mid? I've seen the Froyotech soldiers get pretty aggressive early on, and I don't think their mids have been super successful, so I'm curious if they change their strategy or they keep doing it. Nope, here they go.
Soapy. Soapy's full committee. He's inside house and hits his head. Gets some decent damage though, but 2 dead. Actually, they are able to get May and Rakuso. Just a distraction for Rakuso to be able to collect that medic, so Howard, once again in the same position earlier. Pretty weak, pretty far back, got a lot of dead teammates, but you are safe at least for now compared to May, who's dead in the grave. So Froyotech gonna be able to take this mid, but at what cost? So G6, actually, they're eyeing up this 3v3. They see the number on the cap. They know everyone's spy without even seeing them. So free damage for Rakuso to just shoo them away and make sure that you don't have to even use this Uber per se eventually to retake mid. Just try to retake it right now.
Yeah, I'm curious what Froyotech does in this situation, because they have like 80% disad, you know? If they get too aggressive, you might get Ubered on. But if you do nothing at the same time, you're just not asking for much. It looks like, I guess that's what you do. You get a big pick on Soapy.
I think Soapy was rolling out and the pack wasn't available, and he just kind of walked into some stickies.
Yeah, something happened because I see a lull, and Mirrorman is gonna get caught up, so they have a trade, and they still have 40% Anu to work with. Jay doing a massive high
Oh,
bomb,
the sink.
gonna land on a soldier, and in the end, that's a trade. I guess you take that on either side, but look at Froyo. They're holding like they have Uber to fight this, and they don't. Howard is gonna get forced here, but Froyotech actually gonna be able to milk through and surf their way out pretty well. It's only Habib who's slow, and he gets bowed.
Slemnish, though, he's able to get Soapy, who's behind, and he's still causing a menace against this opposing team. He's enough of a distraction to actually split Howard and Logan up in separate directions. Bainey trying to make sure this medic is cleaned up, but will get cleaned up by the side of Caps.
Oh, Habib's so
Howard
hurt.
losing 21 HP, and yeah, being very weak, but will get aired up. Caps eventually falling, and there's a...
Froyotech does a full Uber.
Yeah, they don't
They're
have
down
any
to.
scouts, though, so it's a sticky situation.
Yeah, you know, if you push here, it's very likely you just there's a good chance you just get back capped on. There's a lot that could go wrong
they're trying
here.
it, though.
Yeah,
They're really
and
trying for
I
it.
don't blame them. Yeah, and they know they can. Yeah, G6
Oh,
knew they could get the
Habib.
easy force, and they drop Habib. Look, they're not even
jumped in
leaving.
so
Oh,
early.
this is a disaster. They're not even leaving. They get Logan with the spoon, but that's pretty much the only consolation trade they're going to get.
The
It
flank
looks
from
like.
Rakuso too,
But this is
unseen
massive.
right behind the back door. He jumped behind when the Uber happened and able to make he made sure that May was collected right there. So 3 live for the side of Froyotech with the respawners and G6. They're in a pretty good spot. The only thing you have to worry about is Slemnish, who is
Mirrorman's
currently
lurking.
behind,
Nobody
starting to back
spotted
up.
him. He's going for the bomb here, but they took so long. Actually, there's a backup going on.
Yeah,
Slemnish
Slem.
on mid. Logan's gonna roll out into him here, but it's a demo versus scout. We'll see what he can do here. He actually hit some pretty good stickies. Slemdish is very hurt. He's gonna get the cap, so that was a good play from Slemdish, but now they're basically just one camp. They have Uber at, and they can go run into the Froyotech combo.
Yeah, I think G6 really blobbed for safety there, but missed a little spot, and Slemnish able to delay things a bit, but they still have the super head, like you said. Jay, although might try to equalize it. Oh, not quite. Almost dropped him with the spoon, but the Uber will come out from the side of Howard, making sure his teammates are safe. Jumping in, maybe Habib caught stickies to the
Yeah,
shoulder.
they're stickies.
Rakuso trying to get some damage on him, popped up into the air, will get cleaned up by the side of Caps. Rakuso falling for it though, but hey, you'll take a demo
Yeah, you'll
kill
take
for a
that.
soldier any day of the week. Uber expanded, got a couple kills, and 2 looks like to be the side of G6 for now, but
Andy's
Froyotech
fine.
they're actually
They-
poking around.
Oh wait, Mirrorman was in spawn that whole time, and they got a Soapy kill off of it, just spamming the point. Really heads up play from
Mirrorman's
Mirrorman
super
there.
deep too.
Yeah,
A little
I don't
bit
blame him.
too much
Yeah.
though.
A little bit too much to take, but Bombo's gonna, kind of equalize. There's been a lot of equalized trade kills back and forth. Very, both teams committing really hard once the fight actually starts.
And with no Soapy in bot mode, it's going to be a little rough with the side of G6 to try to force this, but the B pick is actually very nice coming in from Rakuso. Can't force the medic, maybe just kill the demo, and it seems like that stopped the push dead in the water.
Yeah,
Especially because it's so small at Howard. 85%, not too much longer do they have an Uber of their own, and with Habib as a fresh kill, they know there's no stickies on the door, even if he is actually alive when they decide to do whatever their plan is. This is the
Hey,
best opening you
almost
could possibly have to try to do something right now.
Yeah, and
Soapy
here comes a good bomb from Soapy, but not quite able to get something. But he got in deep, pretty deep, so he'll take that. Now it's on Froyotech to counter sack. And it looks like they're actually gonna, try to. I'm not gonna call this a dry. But it's they're trying
space.
to they're making space in Valley. They're making a lot of space.
Oh, Jay tried to do a bomb and I think messed up a little bit. Wasn't able to really get in. I think he was jumping from all the way back. So
Look at the
just
look at the
poking.
aggression. Rakuso has to get out. The suppression for Froyo is insane. They're getting so much spam. They're just standing in the doorways, spamming
Yep.
like crazy. They do back out with no one dying. So the situation is equalized. But I kind of like that play from Froyo. It was more aggressive than you'd expect on just like a single sack.
I mean, really, that's the way to do it. You want to make sure that you're trying to use the entirety of your arsenal to distract and make sure they don't just have 4 people look at your one soldier, right? So if you're going to want to make them look at you, definitely have to like really get up in their faces and get in that valley area. But Rakuso bombing in, going straight for
The
May,
fake
actually is going to be a fake, and Soapy's going to commit instead. Going on
Habib
Habib, who's their actual target, getting a lot of damage but no kills. And the bomb coming in from this Froyotech soldiers is going to be Jay, actually creating a lot of space in valley, but not really quite finding anything. So they still have this opportunity to countersack. Slemness dropped to 1 HP. That's all the HP you
I think they
need.
might
But with
try to
bot
commit
mode
off
coming in,
this.
yeah, are going to be able to collect that kill. So 1-for-1 trade, and Mirrorman actually dies him some stickies inside lobby set by Logan. So
That
player
might be
ad from the side of
disastrous here. That's gonna
G6.
signal the push.
Yeah, fake
Well,
bombs coming in from
Rakuso
the
is
soldier.
bombing to make space, and he does make good space. Bombo's taking a 1v1 on him. Jay's gonna try to go for a miracle spoon, does not get it. And Froyotech's actually gonna back up the last, and I really don't blame him there. That was, they kind of just fed one by one slowly, trying to go for stuff, and end up not working out. And look at this aggressive. They're in so deep. I don't think Froyotech was ready for this, just them to get in like that. Manny's already gonna be hurt. We'll have to see who pops the Zuber first, but Froyotech are gonna get their respawns. Wait, Mirrorman got launched up into the sky.
Is going to crater, but they've expended 2 for this force, 3 for this force, and only get 1 in return. It's getting a little bit questionable on whether or not they're going to be able to hold two, and it looks like Froyotech, they're still trying to push
Someone
off the
wants to
fact
take
that they
this
have the
1v1.
player advantage. So much damage to Logan. Is going to
Oh,
back
look
up.
at
Yeah.
the
Oh,
version.
this Banny.
Bombo
Oh,
taking the
Bombo
1v1
kills
versus
him
Banny.
and the pack.
Can he win this versus Jay? There's no way.
He has an arrow. He's safe for now, and it looks like with
You
this
take
full
that.
Uber ad and killing Banny and Mirrorman pretty late, they're just straight through lower.
He
Jay,
goes for
bomb
the
in.
spoon and he
Oh, they
gets
get
Logan. But they didn't get the point though, and they have this Uber to work with. I think the concern here is that you might get back cap trying to push last. That's definitely a possibility with the point time.
Maybe, but there's no gun right now, so immediately just going in
Here
with
comes
just spot
Slumdish.
mode,
He's
arrow
going
up
for it.
on
He's
a-
going for it.
Oh, he is. It might actually prevent everything that's happening
Yeah,
on last year, just null
No,
and
the
void
point cap,
depending on the cap
they're
time.
getting the point time now. Oh, it's just
someone
gonna
has
come
to
in the
block,
second. Oh,
Not quite fast enough. Not in the position to be able to defend last, probably. They just backed up from lobby. There's no gun there. They just took a solo with that ab because they knew there wasn't going to be that much setup. Milked it a little bit, got in pretty deep, collected some kills, and especially with Slumnish not there, pretty easy to mop the floor and get on the point to outcap the back cap attempt.
yeah. I
So-
don't believe the theory behind it, but I definitely think perhaps if Froyotech and another player had an off class, I think that's a really great play, but it just didn't work out that time. But I like the theory. It's definitely not something you see every day, going for the back cap as you're trying to, the other team trying to cap last. And speaking of which, here
Jay's
comes some
very
aggression.
fast.
Yeah, Logan's gonna fall very low, so he's basically out of the mid, getting healed up. Like a G6 haven't left lobby yet. I don't know how this mid's gonna go for them.
And Rakuso immediately committed and got a
Although-
lot of damage on the side of the Fred team, but
they're all red. They were all the red. They were so hurt, but they're able to clean up, and they're down two, so that might signal the refight, even though all the damage is there. So,
it seems like the timing was off. I didn't see what kept G6 up in lobby, but Rakuso was ready to go. He bombed in, got a lot of damage, and got all those players weak, but with no one really there to able to, really commit and clean them up.
Oh, Logan got the 6 sticky on him.
Ooh, that's going to be a
And Slemmer's gonna
very
fall.
big boon for the side of G6 to make sure they can get out of two, and they're looking like they immediately want to go through house and at least poke around and see if mid looks like something that's
And
obtainable.
here comes the Soapy
bombing
bomb.
in, though.
A good flank on him. He's not going to get that much damage, but he's making space, and they just walk through the door for free. They're going to, Recrusa's going to trade for Jay, and it looks like it's the Froyotech are down players. I can't believe. Okay, now they pop.
Yep, and it's going to be quite the chase indoors. Going to be a little bit difficult scout speeding away, but the
Okay,
Uber
here
is
comes
going
the
to come
cap
out.
super. They don't want to drop
Oh,
caps here.
yeah.
May is dead to rights. Wait, no, they drop caps. I take
Oh,
everything
that's going to be
back. I
difficult for the
cursed
side of
that.
G6.
And
Yeah,
and
Caster's
Banny's
cursed.
back cap. Banny's in lobby.
Yeah, they get Habib, but it seems like it's going to all start crumbling to pieces. Logan, last one off alive. Both sort of rolling out. I think they just saw that there was no scout beamed on May, so they knew they could outchase him, but dropping caps around the corner, it's going to immediately end things, and now G6 are starting to drop like flies. Sophie, the last one left alive. They had a couple consolation prizes along the way, but with May staying alive here and maintaining this 50% advantage for the long
Nice.
haul, we're looking like a
Sniper on
Froyotech
Sophie
last
back
push
there.
eventually.
The rare and famed Soapy sniper. He's still on it too. He got a body shot and backed up, but yeah, they're gonna need some off classes here. They just have the current 6s classes right now, and they're 40%. I don't. Metalworks last. I think it's one of those maps where off classes aren't. I don't know. You can explain that one, not me. You know more than I do.
It's difficult sometimes because you can try to play Ring Around the Rosie around the point, but they could just go
There's
across
the
it and
bomb
chase
on
you
NG.
anyway. But yeah, you need something so that they don't just chase you. If you
Yeah,
don't have
you need
some
that
sort of
Brutus
off
or
class,
something, yeah.
yeah, they're trying to sneak their way through, right? The gun is going to thwart things, so they have to pop immediately, trying to get it down. It is level 1, though, so will eventually fall immediately, trying to go on to Logan and this left-hand side from the
Logan
defender's
hitting some
perspective.
massive pipes. They're just walking into the combo. That was even though they lost Howard there, I think you take it. Getting the wipe for your medic, you'll take that. You basically get a free second now of the full 6-man wipe. Logan just someone bombed this a distraction. Logan just walked and hit like 3 or 4 pipes. That was insane.
Yeah, their target selection was so deep on the complete opposite side of the map that it was pretty difficult for them to actually clean up very many kills other than just getting Howard, and I think it was Soapy. So it makes sense that there's some sort of collapse. You can kind of just see the enemy Uber just beelining it straight in a straight line in a certain direction and try to put yourself in a spot to flank them.
It's hard to tell because Recruso always has his classic Christmas tree hat, but Soapy also now has a Christmas tree hat, so they look the same. You can't tell them apart. They're just the dynamic duo.
I think it's meant for players, but it's cursing casters as well.
Yeah.
It's
I
the
mean,
same unusual effect, by the way.
Yeah, Recruso's had this hat for years, and this is a new technology from Soapy having it. I know Froyotech used to use this back in the day. I know, I think it was even back in the Free State era. Vanny and Free State and Vanny and Eric would, for finals, they take off all their hats, so it was just 2 default scouts running around. You couldn't tell which was which.
The way I'm telling the difference is Soapy has a pet and Rakusa doesn't.
Not true.
That's the only
that's
way.
a fair point, yeah. That's
Stalemate territory here.
Yep, it is stalemate territory. Froyotech seems to be taking their time with this, and considering that like a G6 kind of had a decent amount of momentum. I mean, they were holding last, but, you know, they've been making some plays the past, like, 5-6 minutes. They've really been kind of getting back into the game. I don't blame them for, you know, taking their time. Seeing we can, yeah, because last time they tried to push second, too, was when they wiped and kind of got rolled the last.
Yeah, I mean, you got some room to work with here, but you got to pick your targets
Soapy might
carefully.
get picked off here.
Yeah, they are actually going all in with a lot of their flank members, and actually looping all the way behind is the side of Slimdish. Might be able to catch Howard. A little bit of damage and dropping the 50 HP, but will not use. Yeah, no soldiers for spam, and Froyotech just in there on the point. Piped immediately onto Habib, not fighting in the same direction as May though, so all the players are dropped. They just immediately melted. I think Banny melted and Habib kited in the opposite direction as May. Jay is able to get caps though. No. He is holding down the fort, asking for an air. Is going to receive
He's still in.
Yeah, they can't fight this for the long haul because they've dropped too many players, but they have definitely slowed things down to allow themselves to maybe get some spawners and roll out.
Yeah, Cap's even typing a WTF in the chat, and I don't blame him. He was living the dream. He was having a great game, and then he just got spooned and insta-died. It just Jay on the spoon just adds such a like X factor to any sort of situation. It's honestly insane. There's no real other player that has that sort of impact on like one specific niche weapon.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find it, but we're going to see Jay coming in once again, trying to go for Rock this time. On to Soapy, will not find that kill, and they are going to be able to get Rakuso, but yeah, it's going to be 2 for 1, not going to be favorable for the side of Froyotech. G6 have an opportunity to kind of poke around.
Too. They know Habib's hurt, they're going for the aggression. The bow comes in. Bombo actually might be caught out here. He's going to use Sticky, but they're making good space. They do manage to get Habib. Habib's just getting melted down, getting shot by 5 players. No one else really getting shot. They're just going to take it. They're just in.
Banny juggled a little bit, hard to get a lot of meat shot damage, trying to go for Logan because they know he's not on the beam, so can't be safe, getting Soapy as well, so they've killed an Uber 4-2, but they are going to
They gotta get some kills.
They know they have to chase the opposite direction, otherwise they're going to die. They have to go for some sort of backcappy-like attempt,
is May
but
living?
May and Banny not going in the same direction.
There's a lot of chaos happening right now.
It seems like that May and Banny had different ideas. Are you going to full commit, or are you going to try to escape through underpass? And that heat of the moment decision-making kind of was a thorn in their side there. So G6 finding their target and trying to mop up the rest of Froyotech so they can go ahead and reclaim mid as theirs.
Yeah, Jay hit a scout for 112 and backed up, and it looks like in the end, after all that chaos, it is going to be G6 taking Habib
alone in house.
I saw he piped Howard, and I was confused as to Howard even ate a pipe, and then Habib died and I was like, oh, I see. But they do have Slimdish on Sniper, and Soapy's going to roll out into it. So I guess it is a trade. It's not a good trade, but yeah, it is a trade. I'm sure Soapy's complaining. I can hear him right now. It just that's one you complain about because it was really lame. He just landed and died.
Yeah, so now you're in a rough spot. Your ad isn't crazy huge. It's big enough to try to attempt to use, but with the sniper in play, you're kind of pigeonholed.
Yeah,
but if you're pigeonholed, then it's predictable if you're pigeonholed. So it's like, what do? It looks like they're trying to go for the sniper.
Too. I don't blame them.
Oh, they're not even going.
Yeah, there's a little less than 4 minutes right now. I think they want to take their time with this because they know if they fail that push, they could easily lose the round. But if you play enough some time, get a really good push in or push at the last minute, when there's like a minute left, there's a lot less downside. So I think that's their game plan right now.
It's probably the better. Oh my God!
Well, they got the trade at least.
Yeah, gonna
they get another trade, and Soapy's in too.
So many people are in.
Oh, he can't quite get the air shot, the last rocket off on May, so they're gonna sack 3 there and only get Slimdish. May dropped down to 30 HP, but that's not enough. So looks like they are gonna take it as slow as I thought, and they're probably gonna have to give up mid here. I doubt they're gonna take. Maybe they take a crazy exchange. I don't know.
Unless Logan gets some like 6 sticky damage, which Jay in. Oh, force immediately happening onto Howard, and now they're forced to chase him.
They want to go in. That seemed to. I'm surprised about Howard's in so deep. I don't think he's. I'll have to see. Okay, they're backing up. So Froyotech is gonna get mid here, which.
Oh, they want to fight. Rakusa's in, or at least.
Oh, do they want to fight? Okay. They have a lot of hurt players. I'm surprised they are. I'm looking at the HPs.
Yeah, they're trying to push off something. Maybe
there's someone behind.
Or...
Soldier behind. Oh, he's onto Howard. He's kind of beefing his rockets. Oh, he's so hurt, and Mirabit's gonna die. They do trade for the demo off of the chaos, but both throw soldiers down, and Habib might get caught in. Soapy tries to go for the spoon, and he dies. Not quite. And Jay might have hit that, but Soapy does not hit that.
Oh,
it looks like there's 2 of them.
Coming in top left.
Oh, he gets May. That's huge. It's a. Cap's just trying to commit for this. He's getting nuked. He can't hit Slimdish. Slimdish is so hurt. Oh no, Slimdish rolled him.
I think Slum did like a 360 at some point in the middle of that fight and was still cleaning him up.
We did see Caps do that last time we watched him, very late in the match, and it comes back up again. Once they get a little too hurt, the bullets kind of curve around the enemies. It happens.
At least the good news for them, though, is that they do have a full ad to try to use to take back mid once again, although Froyotech going to be slightly more set up this time, so it's not going to necessarily be a cakewalk. You also have the sniper on the field once again from beside Jay. They get Bandy up there right off the bat.
Sluggish eating a massive rocket from Rakusa. Rakusa's making some huge plays today, so
Oh,
overall...
they're so weak. Mirrorman's dead, too.
Yep, like, Jay gonna get, Rakusa, but in the end... Yeah, you losing Scout and Soldier, not getting the force. And here comes the big bomb, and Logan is so high, but they're so far out. They didn't really spot it early in advance. It looks like they are gonna get second off this. I think that there's a minute left, and I think that might go for some backcaps and miracle plays. But Froyotech might be ready for it. We'll see. They do still have Jay on sniper.
Yeah, they're playing semi-normal. They're looking like it's plausible that they could push out, even though it's going to be it's pretty much impossible for Froyotech to get around. If anyone takes a round, it's going to be G6. But it doesn't look like they want to necessarily go off of what they're seeing. They're supporting Jay at least a little bit to maybe make their lives easier. But looks like they're just going to hold on to this Uber for now. And G6, they probably get one last attempt. Really, they'll get the Uber. They'll burn off some time off the clock, and then they'll get their one push.
Sniper here. He's trying to take some aggressive peeks. He doesn't want him to take lobby for free. We'll have to see if they actually gets anything. Soapy's actually
Soapy's just in. Oh, the gun though, blasting him back. Spot mode will die to it as well. That'll save Soapy for a little bit, but then he eventually dies.
There's gonna be a push at like 20 seconds probably. Jay is hard scoped on the shutter.
Yeah,
but they didn't actually get Uber. If that was a sec, I guess they had the time for it. Oh, there's Rakusa. So Jay's still on sniper, just causing havoc.
They'll technically push it like 20 seconds left, but that Rakusa death really sets them in a bad way.
Yeah. I think especially because, in my mind, Rakusa's MVP. They get a lot of damage off of the Jay. They have to get the gun, but they're kind of on the wrong side of the map for it, and Bandy's whacking away at it. So I don't... This push does not... I would... Yeah, it's not ending too well.
Yeah, I don't think they were really able to spot that too well. Although they should have, though. They sacked. They had the information, but just going on the far opposite side and not expecting his stuff is going to prevent that last push, the last hurrah, from working out. But I mean, they kind of forced it because of the time, so I mean, that's to be expected for it to be a little bit rough. But Froyotech holding on to their 1-point lead, 2-1, and what's a pretty close match so far.
Yeah, that was pretty back and forth. I think that G6 really kind of, in the beginning, it felt like they're a little unsure. Like they're still making good plays and kind of pushing Freya back, but they just they kind of couldn't get out of their own way. But I really think towards the end of that, they were really playing pretty well overall. And I must say, personally, I don't know if it'll show up on the scoreboard, but my MVP for that half was Rakusa for G6. I think Rakusa made some absolutely massive plays.
All right, we'll go ahead and take a look at the scoreboard while I do a couple shoutouts that we have to, try to get through and inform everyone of, so you can get things rolling for the second half. The first thing is definitely shout out to engineer.tf if anyone ever wanted to, review some invite matches or spectate a non-casted game. There's a little, I don't know what's the right word, but there's like an area where you can go and look and find STVs that's particularly for the high level games.
Repository.
It's I guess archive also kind of works, but it's basically all the invite STVs for Highlander and Sixes. It's on engineer.tf. I think if you're on Twitch, you can put !demos in chat, and that can give you a link to it as well. So definitely shout out to them because they're helping us out this season with servers and whatnot. Other thing, the merch that was released earlier or last season, later on in the season during the playoffs race, is still available, including the Witness Gaming themed merch that was released upon their victory. So if you have any interest in merch, that is also available. You can type !merch in chat to get a link to that to try to check it out. But that's all the shoutouts we have for the halftime. Now we've sat on the stats for a little bit. You've gotten a look see at what really stands out. Space. What are you looking at?
Honestly, there's a lot you could talk about. Froyotech, Bandy's having a good game. Again, like I said earlier, I think Rakusa, it's not going to show up in the stats, but I think he had a lot of big plays. I think overall he would be my impact MVP at least. Jay too. Jay and Rakusa both were making big plays. Although Jay at least, not that you don't expect it from Rakusa, but Jay, I feel like you expect him to be putting up just big performances every game.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Rakusa has I think he's worked well off of Soapy's timing. Like, even though it necessarily hasn't led to a whole lot of success with their double bombs, I feel like a lot of the times Soapy has gone in and they're looking at him, and then Rakusa just sees that moment and doesn't waste it really ever. I don't think I've ever seen a moment so far from G6 where I only really see like I ever see Soapy initiating and then it's not followed up by Rakusa. There's been some solo Rakusa bombs sometimes, but so maybe there's something left to be desired there when it comes to overall their soldier coordination. But there's something promising that they have that they could try to work on and refine it to continue to put some rounds on the board, maybe even put themselves in the lead because this is a pretty soldier friendly map. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
on the topic of soldiers, Meerman and Jay have been doing a fine job, but Jay in particular has been the more of the flashier plays and gotten some very key picks in terms of collecting Howard or Logan just with market gardeners that have really turned the tide of a couple of the fights.
Yeah. I also want to give a shout out to Howard. I think on most of the mids, I think Howard's lived most of the mids, and it's really kept his team in the game that after the mids he's living, whereas I feel like Metalworks sometimes tends to be like a mid-exploding kind of mid, depending on how it's played. And it's definitely been that way for Froyotech. May's been kind of exploding on a lot of the mids, but Howard's been doing a good job staying alive. I think that's, you gotta give the shoutouts when you see him.
Yeah, I think he's done a good job of recognizing for mid-fights when they're lost. I mean, if you spend so many resources and that resource is pretty much to kill a medic, you kind of just have to hold S and try to farm the enemy team, especially if you're already so weak from, the enemy team jumping on you themselves. But I think, realistically, if you try to, compare a whole lot of the stats, there's only a couple of discrepancies, really, like in maybe like a
Habib's kinda
KD or
died a
two.
little
Or
more than I expect.
True. Habib has died in moments, though, where he's completely alone. That's been the
Yeah.
pattern. It's not like he's been
That's
like,
what I don't expect.
he's...
Usually I expect to be, I don't know. It's a little, maybe it just goes new roster, they're getting warmed up, but definitely feels like Habib getting a little too aggressive sometimes.
Well,
Not, or I don't know, it's
yeah.
just the coordination, something seems a little off, you know what I mean?
From a bird's eye view, it feels like that it could be assumed to be a comms thing because it's already hard
Yeah.
enough to background transition as demo, but it seems like he's forward spamming a doorway and he doesn't know that his team has necessarily left him to try. I don't know if that's him listening or them speaking, but I'm sure that that's something they've talked about as they've noticed it as a trend. But we are going live, so we do get to see what changes the teams have made, if any, what things have been promising that they might want to hash out, or what things they definitely want to change because it hasn't worked too much, especially with the mid fights. They're going to be pretty hotly contested to try to set yourself in a good spot for the beginning of the second half.
True, we'll have to see what changes Froyotech made. I didn't mention it, but Froyotech are the team, one of the best teams at adapting. And so Sophie actually gonna land doing big damage. The Froyotech combo's basically out. They sack 2 and the Froyotech combo's basically out. I don't know how much he can do. It's Rakuso on the salvage and he gets the salvage, so full send 3 people, get the medic. That seemed to be their strategy that minute. It worked out pretty well. Sophie, again, like you mentioned, Rakuso played really well off of what Sophie did that mid.
Yep, almost didn't really work out. It seemed like they were a little bit staggered and got hung up, but still made it work somehow. So another May Death Howard living, and
worked out in their favor somehow.
True. I don't think they expected the super late bomb, but it just worked out. But Brad for the side of G6, they have a lot of people rolling out, so they're just kind of poking at least for now. I doubt to see them rush through doors very quickly. We have Meerman inside the hallway of the house area, collecting some damage, and they're starting to create some space for the respawners, but Caps
there's
dying
the
to some stickies.
I was looking for the trap and I couldn't find it, and I guess Caps found it with his face, so there's that. He's just gonna be walking forward a little bit, and I guess off of the 2 picks there, they're gonna... Froyotech are being aggressive, but they do have to be aware that they still have 40% Uber to sets. They get too aggressive here, they might just be having invincible players running at them.
Yep, mostly don't have Habib and May, but they are.
Speaking of which, here comes the... Oh, he got knocked up! Oh, that's so unfortunate for G6. They got massive... That was a massive play, whoever knocked up Howard. That single-handedly might have won them this round.
I think it might have been stickies. They're like stickies on the ground that Howard dropped. When he was dropping out of the floor, he dropped onto the stickies and used, and it just bounced him up. But it didn't bounce at bot mode in the same way, so bot mode ran forward, and Howard just kind of, wasn't able to Uber him. So
he
got
has to make some sort of miracle. That's not going to happen. And they're going to block the play, but it's just going to be free kills for beat. As Froyotech does take the first round of this half, going up 3-1. I must say, I'm okay with the theory, definitely. I think the theory of Ubering into them when they get aggressive like that is good, but just... I don't know who made the play, but knocking up Howard there and to drop bot mode was such a massive play.
It's got... With the height that Howard got, it's had to just hippie Habib sticking before.
Yeah.
Definitely
or like
huge plays
or
from
like
him.
sync rocket, who knows? Like a rocket or like a sticky. It had to have been something like that.
Yep, got another mid fight going for both teams. I'm curious to see what's going to happen in terms of the pace and if May is going to be the target for the side of G6 to bomb once again. Because so very deep, it's going to be Habib this time. They're landing on, getting some damage, but are able to clean it for the side of
Sophie
jumping behind.
They're chasing Sophie.
Yeah, it's going to be Slemnish on the side of Froyotech that's trying to create a little bit of distraction, but he's a little bit too far back, so G6 running for it, trying to
May's
collect
really
Meerman
hurt
over
too.
on the...
May's so hurt. They're not.
He gets caps.
They're not going to be able to clean up at Sophie, or excuse me, Jay
And
going in.
Slem's in now.
Slemnish finally comes in. The cavalry comes in for the cleanup, and it's just Howard trying to escape. I don't. This is going to be a tall order to escape from Slemnish here, but Slemnish. They're chasing. Wait, Howard? Oh, he juked him. Oh no, he almost juked him. Man, he found him. It's
Oh,
on
but
the
she's
two soldiers
extending
now.
his life though.
No, this is a smart play because both soldiers are gonna bomb here. Yeah, they're trying. Oh, unable to get something. Sophie is behind.
Very high
though.
risk. True.
Yeah.
He is behind technically, but
Yeah,
might.
this is what they're going for. They're trying to get. Yeah, here we go. This is Sophie's in. There's the
Oh,
door.
that works out. Okay.
I
High risk
saw the soldiers
or-
come behind and I knew that's where they're going. Also, air shot of this Slemish, big plays there. So, in the end, I guess it kind of worked out. They're just now starting to cap mid.
Very high risk. It almost looked like the reward wasn't going to happen at all, and it was just going to be extended medic death. But at the very tail end, it comes to fruition. The drop from May is going to put G6 in a spot where maybe they can hold on to their second point, depending on how things go. They have to get some respawners. Pretty much everyone is not quite there, except for Logan, but with a lot of Froyotech players rolling out themselves, it's looking like it's going to be pretty much a second to mid stalemate after all that.
Who did Banny type stop to? He just typed stop in chat. I don't know why. I'm just
Unsure.
The Banny, whenever Banny types in chat, it always amuses me. He has some of the best. It's not even toxic. It's very amusing. He always has some interesting things to say.
Just gotta wait up for the rest of the teams, the rest of the Uber to be built by both the teams. I mean, realistically, Froyotech, they have some time to work with here. Really early on in the half, they have a 2-point lead. You're in a pretty good spot when you own mid for Metalworks, because if your sack on the 2 goes well enough, because sometimes teams can kind of flub their holdings of 2 in a very bad way, you could potentially roll it to last. And I've seen that happen in plenty of scenarios, so you definitely don't want to rush this, and you don't take the stalemate too lightly, because it can really lead to something great if you're able to execute something pretty flawlessly. So they have the Uber now, trying to work themselves over towards the alley
Incoming
area.
sack at some point. We'll have to see how they want to do this. They're just kind of Froyotech takes these sacks slower than I expect from Froy. They definitely, for whatever reason, maybe it's because they're afraid of the high bomb. The high bomb on this map into Valley is very notorious. So maybe that's what they're waiting for. Speaking of which, here it comes.
Yeah, both slotas going in. Rakuso.
Oh, that was a fake bomb. He laid on a sticky, almost
both
died.
of them are fake. It's gonna be Slemish that dies to an arrow from the side of Howard.
Soapy trying to go for something. Oh, they get Mirror Man. I like that they pressure 2 doors there. So now they have a little space to work with. They're down a soldier and Jay's in. He trades with Recruso. Okay, so
and he somehow kills bot mode too.
Wait, how did he kill bot mode? What?
They were both on bridge fighting in the doorway, and I guess bot mode just died of fall damage or something. I didn't quite see, but with only 2 left alive.
TF2, so something, yeah, he got TF2'd in some way, shape, or form. So it's just Logan, Soapy finally coming as the respawner, but it was just Logan and Howard for Logan. Froyotech are gonna take a second off of whatever happened to bot mode. I'll have to see.
Yeah, well, gonna be another stalemate. Actually, they're really aggressive with this. They want to try to. Oh, Habib kind of out of position.
There's the
not
force.
gonna be saved. Just barely separated from the side of May, with no man down for the side of G6. That's going to be pretty rough for Froyo to hold on to. They are pushing a little bit in the lobby with Slumnish and Mirror Man, but still trying to hold on to the door strong, and this Doman pick is definitely something that G6 wants to try to use.
The soldiers are very committed to spamming this. May's going to be dropping pretty low, actually. This Froyotech's doing a great job of holding these doors for now, but the floodgates finally open. They're trying to go for blast, actually. They get both soldiers, and G6 are going to have to back up here. Logan might be caught out of the lobby. Oh, they don't. They drop bot mode. They don't even get a pick off of it. May doing a great job keeping Froyotech alive there throughout that entire push. People dropped so low.
Yeah, now they're just on the point, trying to get as close as you can, but gonna be unable to find anything. That was a pretty good job from the side of Froy, recognizing that G6, not only were they split, but I think they had their, like, all their lockdown classes that could prevent someone rushing through the shutter was pretty much on one half of the map, like, by where that exchange was happening. So they just looked at the side of the lobby and was like, we could probably rush in here with a beam and kill some people, and that's exactly what they did to snowball it. So now, they're in a pretty good spot here. It's at match point for the side of Froyotech and a long road ahead for the side of G6 if they want to take this match going into the next mid-fight.
Yeah, we'll have to see if G6 have any last-minute tricks up their sleeve for this potentially a last mid-fight. Definitely around point. Habib is going to fall pretty low, so that's the biggest damage we get out on the server so far. Jay is going to be waddling under the point. They're going to eat a meat shot, going to trade some damage with bot mode and back up. And it looks like G6 definitely have a high ground right now. The whole soldiers are just spamming on the high ground right now. It's just kind of a spammy event, and the G6 soldiers are definitely on the receiving end of it. Logan and Recruso falling, and that's going to signal the retreat here. They gonna bomb in to create a distraction, but that's kind of it. And Froyotech know they're down 2 spamming classes, so this is a good time to actually do some stuff.
Yeah, and they're still kind of showing some sort of presence here. Bot mode and Soapy are out, and here actually trying to kill Mirror Man will find success. The Ubers are in play if they feel
Howard
like
gets forced by Jay.
Yep, trying to collect Jay, but will get flashed. He's saved. He looked pretty weak for the post here, but
Howard to leave,
I
and he
don't
doesn't
know
have scout speed. He finally gets scout speed now, but this is a We'll have to see if they refight here. Soapy is behind, but he's gonna get double scout class. But that did make some space for the rest of his team to come in, so maybe that was a good play in the end. And although G6 are down 2, but they seem committed to hold this. They don't want to lose this match.
Yep, trying to hold on to it the best they can. It seems like the snowball has stopped, at least for now, but with a player added for the side of Froyotech, they're definitely trying to work their way through these
Logan
doors.
Gonna lose a couple. But they trade 2 for it, and there goes Caps. It's just Howard. Soapy's on the respawn, but that's gonna be it. This might be GG-less. Soapy can pull a miracle. He's going for the spoon. Does not hit it. Might have to watch some J VODs. Does not hit the spoon. Recurso's on sniper, and that's gonna be GG. Froyotech winning 5-1. So the first half was close, but the Froyotech adjustments came into the second half. Apparently that's what it looks like.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a battle of adaptation. You take the halftime to kind of poke around at your mistakes and figure out what went wrong and what you need to change. And some teams just are able to, do that a little bit better than others. So they're going to see a difference in the halftime or pre and post halftime performances for both the teams. Froyotech taking the game 5-1, another victory added to themselves, while G6, against the playoff slated teams, not looking too hot in terms of getting a lot of points, but there's something to show there for the rest of the season.
They're also like relatively new roster. There's a lot of people played with each other, but like that 6 players haven't. I don't think they've played together. So
Yeah.
I'd get to them kind of a new team. So I think over the course of the season they'll probably get stronger. It's encouraging that they're not getting rolled early on. That would be the real like concerning thing. But as long as they're competitive, that first half is pretty close. I think they'll get stronger as time goes on, and barring a disaster, big playoffs, and that's where we'll have to see how the season went.
And the stats definitely show this was a 3-0. If you just look at the G6 stats, there are many
Wait,
players
Caps, no.
that were heavily shut down and could not really do anything, whether it's the mid, whether it's the stalemates, whether it's the transitions. There's some unfortunate sightings all around. On the side of Froyotech, you have a perfect game from the side, or not perfect game, but perfect half from the side of Banny, 9-0.
True. Yeah,
3
you
kills
have
a
the
half.
perfect half. Yeah, I think Caps had like hero pocket scout stats the first half, and the second half he had just sad boy stats. So very unfortunate. And it sometimes his pocket scout it just be like that. Definitely,
especially on this map too.
Yeah, especially on this map. I would say Metalworks is definitely one of the less scout friendly maps in the rotation.
Yeah, once you combine the stats, things shape up a little bit for the side of G6's stats line, but when you start to compare it between some of the classes, you start to see some more gaps between maybe like some of the soldier deaths or KDs. Actually, you're gonna see Froyotech soldiers going positive, G6 going negative. To be expected for the soldiers to get a couple more kills and you're winning.
Soapy and Recurso doing a little bit of the fearless feeding, but that makes sense considering the second half. And I think definitely they made some good plays. Maybe you can't blame your soldiers for flying too much as long as they're not like super turbo feeding. And I feel like I don't think they died at like super inopportune times. There was kind of team deaths for the most part.
Yeah. But despite the problems that Froyotech had in the beginning, they're able to turn things around. You definitely saw a lot of moments in all the different scenarios that we saw in the second half where Froyotech just saw an inch and they took a mile. It really heavily snowballed. You see a little bit of damage on a certain player, you turn that into a kill, you turn that into a couple kills, you turn it to points, you turn it to a round. Yeah. And it started to go pretty quickly once I think they figured out what exactly it needed to do to take G6 in a more convincing fashion.
Yeah. So I think Froyotech should be happy for themselves, and honestly, I think G6, I think there's a lot of positives you can take from this match because I don't know if they really went into this expecting to beat Froyo, especially so early on in the season, and they're kind of a new team. But I think Recurso and Soapy had pretty good synergy together. They didn't do anything. I think just overall they played a good enough game that I would take some positives from that. I think it's something to build off of.
True. All we really got to look forward to the future, as we know that all the teams are going to play each other twice, so I can probably see like a week 6 match happening, rematch or something along like those lines. Could be interesting to see. But we do have Banny here for an interview. Hello, congratulations on your victory.
Yo, thank you. Habib's coming as well.
Ooh.
Okay. Welcome, Habib. Welcome.
Hello. How's it going?
So got a fresh season ahead of us. Can you guys talk to us a little bit before we get into the match about how you felt the transition went with adding new members to your team and getting situated in the preseason and starting off week 1 and 2?
Well, we picked up some really good players, so it's been pretty good. May and Jay both, contributing a lot to the team. Obviously, though, with any new roster, you kind of got to rework on some chemistry. That's kind of been our focus. Kind of going back to basics and getting everyone on the same page again. That's going to be the focus of the entire season, really. Usually it's, if we can keep a roster together for a couple seasons, then that stuff we don't do as much. But lately, we've been really focusing on defining the roles and getting everyone on the same page again.
Mm-hmm. Whole squad.
But yeah, our
Assembled.
matches have been good so far. Obviously our hardest test will be tomorrow.
Ooh, true. What map? I didn't even know.
Process.
Ooh, should be interesting.
That process. Oh.
Well, with all the new variables added to your team, I'm sure that you want to make sure that whatever maps might seem problematic, or you kind of take an extra look at, and whatever is smooth sailing, you get a nice thumbs up and kind of push to the side while you work on some other stuff. When it comes to Metalworks as the map that's being picked, did you guys find it easy to kind of get into a groove with like a new roster and everyone's roles, or were there some things that you feel like you needed to overcome and prep for this match?
I don't know if it, had anything to do with that. There were definitely a couple things that we encountered in that match that we hadn't really seen much of lately. So we had to do some halftime adjustments just to recalibrate some of that stuff. But I think we made the necessary changes.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I was feeding in the first half. I'm gonna just keep it.
I saw there was one
Habib died a
tragic
lot,
moment.
yeah.
You peeked the door
I
just as Logan
was-
synced like 5 stickies on it.
No,
that
that
was
wasn't even the
sad.
worst one. No, the worst one was
that was not
he
the
was
worst
rolling
one. I was
out and
literally just-
Rakuso fired a
Oh my
spam rocket.
God.
Habib rolled out around the corner and caught it.
Happens.
Yeah,
But
it
he
doesn't
was
seem-
like
it's,
6 deaths in a row. And
it's
I was,
actually
I
so
was starting to
dumb.
get
Yeah,
worried for
and
Habib.
I like, I don't know, I was honestly just getting too greedy, just trying to hold aggressively with traps, but both their scouts are like really thirsty. So
Yeah,
they're trying to drink my
that's-
meat.
That's definitely the different like style that their team had that kind of caught us off guard a little bit, or at least caught Habib off guard, was that their scouts were much more willing to chase.
Yeah, they're pouncers. They're like little cheetahs or like rabbits. They just like jump. But that's why, second half, I just like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna press the S key on my keyboard. It's a very good key. I think it allows you to survive.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So when it comes to those adjustments, how much of it would you say are things that we should do this particularly against this type of team, or the way that they're playing, and how much of it do you think was like the within your own team we need to shape up versus what we're going against and adapt with our own kind of plan?
It was a little bit of half and half. There were like 3 key changes we made. One of them was adapting to them. 2 of them was just making sure we had our shit together.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So when you guys,
Go ahead.
So when you guys think of playing against them in the match G6, a lot of big names, but not all of them have played together. I think it's kind of a mishmash of 2 teams from last season. But from how they're playing right now, how do you think down the line you think they have a chance to really improve and make some noise down the stretch? Just from a playing against them kind of perspective.
I mean, there's always a chance for that, but unfortunately, I don't think that they are that ambitious.
Ooh.
I think they'll make playoffs, but
They'll definitely
don't
make
think-
playoffs.
I don't think they care to make grand finals. I don't think they're gonna even try to, unfortunately.
Yeah, if they did, they'd actually scrum us and actually like try to improve even further. But I don't know, there's a lot of XD going on behind the scenes.
I see.
Speaking of grands, got a rematch of that coming up. What is that, tomorrow? Going to be a rematch between you guys
Yeah.
and Witness Gaming. Obviously, you can't really reveal anything important, before match. But you have any initial thoughts about going into it? Anticipations?
It should be a good match. That's pretty much it.
That's fair. Can't reveal too much. Can't show your hand.
Yeah, let me just explain everything that we're preparing.
Yeah. So what do you guys like to do at mid?
Secret Agent Jarrett.
You share the same sentiments, Habib. You just hope it's good, and that's about it.
I mean, honestly, I just try to like shoot them and hope something works.
That's
Demo
yeah.
Man class.
Yeah, that's Demo Man class in a nutshell.
I wish my life could be so simple.
You're on scout. All your shots will hit. I have to
No,
spam in
because
a
I
direction.
have to fucking micromanage you, Habib.
I have to shoot a sticky in the air and hope it hits somebody. Do you know how hard that is? You
Habib's
look
too
at
busy
them and they
doing
take
like
damage.
Habib, you're
mental
like-
calculus.
You're
to
like a
hit
blind
people.
man, and I'm your cane and your
I'm
seeing
literally
eye
just
dog.
I'm a walking like
I'm your braille.
I'm a walking like trebuchet or like some sort of just launcher. Like I'm just an explosive.
Just point you in the right direction and
Yeah.
let you go.
I'm the cannonball. Somebody has to shoot me properly.
You got any other questions, Space Ghost?
No, I'm good.
All right, so probably time to move over to the shout out phase before we wrap up the stream. Banny and Habib, do you got any shouts before we go ahead and close things out?
Shout out to you guys for casting the match. I'm glad to see the match casts are happening again. Hope everyone enjoyed the show. Shout out to May and Jay for joining back into the squad. Looking forward to the season.
Mm-hmm.
GG's to G6. And shout out to everyone who's on the grind, looking to improve,
Mm-hmm.
looking to reach the top of the leaderboards this season. Don't give up. Practice, review, stay wholesome. Anti, shout out to the edgelords. That's it.
Anything from you, Habib?
Yeah, shout outs to you guys. Amazing cast as usual. You guys are like the dynamic duo now. You guys are like the modern day Seabear and Lang or something. I don't even know.
Bloodsire.
Bloodsire, yeah, and Seabear. There you go. Shout outs to the production as well. Shout outs to the viewers. Anti shout outs to the edgelords. You know who the fuck you are. You know what I'm saying? It's very easy to not be cringe, but life is difficult sometimes. Anyways, yeah.
Anything from you, Space?
Yeah, shout out to production. Shout out to May and Jay having rhyming names. Definitely some big synergy coming from that.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's it for me. Oh, shout out to Skis. I almost forgot.
Yeah, you almost did forget.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it yesterday. I'm starting to mix it up.
Well, definitely shout out to everyone who was watching. Definitely shout out to engineer.tf for all the STV stuff. Definitely shout out to the merch squad for putting out all the designs and allowing us to get some cool stuff to wear and things like that. You can go ahead and check out engineer.tf as well as our merch page via the Twitch chat. There's some commands. I think it's demos and merch respectively with the exclamation point. But if you want to catch out more stuff, there is a match happening tomorrow. It's Froyotech versus Witness Gaming, a rematch of Grand Finals. Don't want to miss that. But for tonight, that is going to be it for us. I've been Jarrett, casting with Space Ghost, with Dolphin on production. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.